Welcome to Lifeness with Logan Hall. It's life, it's business, it's Lifeness. Live from the StriveVenta.com studios, here's Logan Hall.
All right. Throw a couple extra ones in there today. Thank you so much. You are tuned into Lifeness. We appreciate you coming on today and learning some good, positive stuff. It's always a good day. Every day's a good day when you're listening to Lifeness. And it's a fun show today. We've got an out-of-state guest who's on a phone call interview with us today. And this is a very close family friend of mine. My wife, Haley, is from Wisconsin, and her parents are really good people, and they've got some really good friends as well. And some of their friends that are really good people happen to be Mrs. Susan Holding, who is the author of a new cookbook that hit Amazon last November, also BarnesandNoble.com, a few other websites, that's called The Little French Bakery. I want to welcome to the show Miss Susan Holding. What's going on, Susan?
Hi, Logan. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing terrific this morning. How are you?
Great.
That's awesome. Again, I appreciate your time coming on the show, and I know your whole story, but we're going to let all the listeners kind of get to know your story. I'm just going to kind of give them a quick Cliff's Notes version. Susan's from Wisconsin. She held a professional job most of her life, but had a passion for cooking and baking specifically as a young girl, and was really, really good at it. And later on in her life, the passion of cooking finally kind of overcame her, and like a lot of people have these passions that they don't end up acting upon and may have regrets down the road, but you're kind of the exception to the rule, Susan. You broke through and you followed your dream of wanting to be a professional pastry chef, professional chef. You went to one of the most renowned cooking schools in all the world. So I want you to share a little bit about your journey from starting to grow up as a kid and what kind of persuaded you into baking. Was it mom and grandma, or did you just kind of start out on your own? Let our listeners know a little bit about Susan and where this passion really started.
Well, great. Thanks, Logan, for having me. Well, it all started when it was probably pre-kindergarten. I really wanted an easy bake oven, and my parents, when I opened my Christmas presents, it wasn't an easy bake oven, but it was a set of cake mixes and little pans and little spoons. So I jumped right into the big oven with some adult supervision, which was kind of a scream looking back. Then, all through Girl Scouts, brownies, high school, and even into college with my roommates, I just loved cooking. As I moved into my professional career, your guests may not know this, but I actually am a nurse, and I left the traditional nursing role to work for a software company and accumulated all sorts of frequent flyer miles and kind of got used to travel and thought, I'm going to go off on a weekend trip as a good home cook, maybe to Vermont, maybe somewhere in New England, and take a weekend cooking class. And way back when, before the internet, the way you found out about places was you ripped out one of those business reply cards in the magazine and circled all the numbers of the ads that you liked. And I did that, and unbeknownst to me, I circled the Cordon Bleu in Paris as one of my requests. And one day, this big box came in the mail, which contained all their application information. So I put it aside, thinking that wasn't a possibility. And after really mulling it over and thinking about it, I thought, I think I could do this. I think I could take a leave of absence, go over to Paris and take this class, which I did. I took a 6-week leave of absence, dusted off my 6th grade French, and off I went. And eventually, over the course of the next 2.5 years, I completed the Diplôme de Pâtisserie and started my own business.
That's incredible. I want to rewind a little bit for the fact that you started off real small, right? You wanted to take a cooking class maybe over a weekend somewhere outside of Wisconsin, go see a different environment and different cooking, and up comes this package in the mail from Le Cordon Bleu that says, "Hey, Susan, here's a bunch of materials." And you thought, okay, let's see what else comes in the mail with all these other things I sent out. And lo and behold, it came back around. And what I like about this part of the story, Susan, is that this is where 99% of the people stop pursuing their passion. Because financially, logistically, it's a stretch, right? To take 6 weeks off of your full-time job and be able to pay to go stay somewhere for 6 weeks and plane tickets and the language barrier as well, right? We gotta get our French very sharp again. This is where most people actually kind of stop pursuing their dream, but you were able to put it together, and whether it be that you had the frequent flyer miles or you had a job that allowed you to take a leave of absence or probably a combination of all those, you didn't give up on your dream at this point. And here you go. So you fly off to France and you do your first cooking class for 6 weeks, and you come back, and now you're at this full-time job that you've been doing a long time. It's probably not nearly as cool and as exciting as those 6 weeks you spent in France, and I guarantee you're chomping at the bit trying to figure out how you can get back over to Paris.
That's true. That's very true. And I really thought it was going to be one and done, that I would sort of satisfy that urge. And, the more I thought about it, we were just getting ready to move. And I have to say that he's not here in the room with me, but I have
Gary, he's a great husband. He's a good guy. I love that guy.
And, he was supporting me 100% of the way, saying, you've got these opportunities, take them, because you never know when they're going to come around again. So, he was saying, go, go, go. And again, when I went back and asked for some more time off work, it was, I got it. Although, what I really wanted to do was go part-time and do both. And the business that I was working at doesn't have any part-time employees. So there came a fork in the road where I had to choose, and I just kind of closed my eyes, pinched my nose, and jumped and landed on my feet, which, again, it's not, everyone doesn't have that in them, but I just kind of went for it, and it was great.
Well, again, you're kind of the exception to the rule, and that's that fiber that most of us don't have, and I guess it's just going to call courage to take a risk. And like you said, you thought, okay, I'm going to go do this one class. I'll get the feel for it. I'll get my satisfaction. I can bake. I know some French recipes. Cool, but it was quite the contrary. All that did was increase your thirst and your desire to get some more of it. You get back, hey, Gary, this is how I'm feeling about this. Fire away, Susan. You got my full support. You made it work. And then you head back over, and then you finish. Is it a full 2-year program? How long was it to actually finish and get your degree or your diploma?
Well, it's interesting. They have semesters, typical to a university program where there's a semester and a break and a semester and a break. And what they do is they have an intensive format where they squish 16 weeks of curriculum into 3 or 4 weeks. So instead of one class per day, I was taking 4 sessions that were, 3 hours each, which they call intensive, which is
that's like extremely intensive is what that sounds like.
So I was able to get the curriculum in a 4-week session. So I went one summer, then I went back the next summer, and again, just by luck, the head of the pastry program decided to do the very last course, which had never been taught in the intensive format. He offered it to my small little cohort of students in the intensive format, so we would all be able to complete the diploma without having to spend 4 months in Paris, which was, one of those gifts, again, that doesn't come along very often. Mm-hmm. They've since extended that last course to about 8 weeks, but he tried it out on us, and we all finished, and it was just a dream.
It's just another one of those dominoes just lining up perfectly in the row in the order that it needs to, so you can knock them all down and get to this cookbook. And the name of the cookbook is called The Little French Bakery Cookbook, and this is an awesome cookbook. Susan's website is simply littlefrenchbakery.com. It's an awesome website domain name. I can't believe that you got that. And so you can go check her out on her website. It kind of shows her backstory and things that we're discussing today. It's got some information about the book and some recipes and even some other things that Susan does, which we'll talk about in the last section, which are, cooking classes. And it's now branched off into putting together full-on tours to head over to Paris to look at some cooking classes in schools for people who have those same passions that you have and that you share. So again, the cookbook is called The Little French Bakery Cookbook. The website is littlefrenchbakery.com. I've got one right here in front of me, and this thing is a big cookbook that is loaded with awesome recipes, awesome photos, awesome information about how to cook, metric and imperial conversions, oven temperatures. You've got a section on comfort foods, which is most people's favorite type of food, anywhere from appetizers all the way through to entrees, pastries, cookies, bars, the breakfast class. I mean, you cover every type of cooking and baking I think there is, and with a French flair. Now, in your life, you love to bake, and I know that you're a great baker. You just bake some really good, tasty stuff. Now, that didn't happen overnight, right? You didn't just put a recipe together and throw it in the oven. This has been happening since you were 3, 4, 5 years old, and you started baking, and here it is. Fast forward, you've got a full book of all your recipes. How incredible is that?
Yeah, the book was really incredible. People had often asked, "So when's your book coming out?" And I don't know how to write a book. So, one of the things that I have always done is if I don't know how to do it, I'll figure it out, or sign up for a class and go to the experts. So I actually shot all the photos in my book.
The photos are beautiful.
And so I went to photography classes. I took classes in Photoshop and so on and so forth. But the whole publishing industry, I have to give a shout out to the University of Wisconsin Writers Institute, because that's really where I was able to pitch my book to my publisher and get all the tools and learn how the publishing industry worked. So aside from gathering recipes and testing, there's that whole writing and publishing side of things that it's a big mystery, and that group was able to kind of untangle the industry and make it more accessible to me.
Well, and some of the tips that you have along with each of the recipes and the wording of it as far as how it flows and the ease of understanding it, to where someone who isn't a professional cook could pull one of these recipes out and put it together. I like it. We're going to stay tuned, you guys. We've got a short break. We're coming back with Susan Holding, the author of an awesome book called The Little French Bakery Cookbook. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Lifeness. Hey guys, I'm here with a good friend of mine, John St. George, owner of Phoenix Carpet Water Restoration, home of the Spot Crew. John, tell us a little bit about your company.
Thanks, Logan. We are a locally owned carpet, tile, upholstery, and oriental rug cleaning company here in the Valley. We're happy to celebrate our 5-year anniversary, and we're giving 25% off to all new customers to call in at 602-319-8446.
So that phone number again, 602-319-8446, 602-319-8446. Call my buddy John for a free estimate today. Tell him Logan sent you. All right. We are back with Lifeness. Appreciate you guys staying tuned for that short break. We're back with Susan Holding out there in Wisconsin, talking about her book, The Little French Bakery Cookbook. Before the break, we had talked about, the pursuit of the education and the knowledge of learning how to cook, but I wanted to touch back on the writing side of it, and you gave a big shout-out to the University of Wisconsin, which my wife's a proud Badger, so I've got a bunch of red Badger gear all through my house. Bucky the Badger, there's our baby Avonlee's got a Bucky Badger stuffed animal, so I got a little Wisconsin in me. But the fact of the matter is that you're right. It's not just about these recipes. You got to figure out how to put them together, and these tips and kind of the directions and instructions to make it easily understood. So you didn't just put these recipes together and put a 3-ring binder together and sell this book. You went that extra level to meet with some professional writers and get some input and learn some ideas on how to make this as effective as it can be, right?
That's right. And how to, the publisher that I worked with, which is Skyhorse, they have a writing template, and I had a wonderful, wonderful editor who helped me take my words and kind of make them into sort of cookbook ease. But I found that the writing part was really interesting. I really didn't know that I had it in me, and I started writing my blog, which is also part of my website, and just telling stories of